In the introduction to this course, I said I was gearing it to you as an end user and not someone providing IT or tech support, but there are still a few techniques you should know about how to keep your computer running smoothly and how to get out of minor trouble when it arises. Think of it as knowing when to change the oil in your car, not how to replace the transmission. The first tool to reach for is the redesigned Task Manager.
The Task Manager will show you what applications and processes are running and how much of the computer's resources they're using. If you ever use the Task Manager in older versions of Windows, you'll find that it's been streamlined and enhanced in Windows 8. I'll show you 3 ways to open the Task Manager. One way is I'll right-click on the Start screen. I'll go down here in the lower right corner to All Apps, and I'll scroll over. And over here you see the Windows System category. And over here is Task Manager. Another way is this. I'm going to go to the desktop, so I'll just right-click here, go to All Apps, and I'll click here on the desktop. Is when I'm on the desktop, I can click the right mouse button on the taskbar, and I can start the Task Manager. And my favorite way, just because it's the easiest and I don't have to worry what screen I'm in, is the keyboard shortcut, and that is to press Control-Shift-Escape. By default, it opens up to the Processes tab, and it tells me right now I have 2 applications running. The first application is the software I'm using to record these videos, and the second is the Task Manager itself, and then I have some background processes. But generally, you'll launch the Task Manager because you have programs running and something isn't working right. So let's go and start a few. I'm going to go back to the Start screen for a moment. So I'll just roll the mouse pointer over the lower left corner of the screen and click. And I'm just going to start up Microsoft Word. I'll just create a new blank document. And I'll go back to the Start screen again. I'll click, and I'm going to go to, just going to right-click, I'll go to All Apps, and I want to start up the Paint accessory. And you'll see why in a little bit. And I'm going to go back to the Start screen once again, go back to the desktop, and I'm just going to minimize Paint. I'll minimize Word. So I'm on the desktop, and on the desktop I want to start up Internet Explorer. And Google is my default start page. Okay, that's fine. I'll just minimize that. So we're back at the Task Manager. So now you can see I have 5 apps running, and here are the 3 programs I started just a moment ago. And you can see here that my recorder is taking 3% of the CPU, and these others, I'm not using them, so they're not really taking all that much. And I'll scroll down here, and I can see all of these background processes, how much memory, how much disk space and network they're taking. These columns, you can change the width. Sometimes I find the name column is a little too narrow. If you put your mouse pointer on the boundary here, let's say between name and status, see where my mouse pointer is? I have that 2-headed arrow. I can change the width. Now, if you ever used the Task Manager in previous versions, here's something that you'll appreciate. I'm going to scroll down here. See, we have these Windows processes. We have these things called service hosts. A host is pretty much what it sounds like. It carries other processes with it. And in older versions of Windows, you had no idea what the child processes were that it was carrying. But now you see we have these little arrows here, and I can click and twirl that open, and now I can see, for example, this service host is hosting these other child processes. So that way, if something is going wrong, maybe if my Bluetooth device isn't working right, for example, I'd see, oh, okay, maybe there's a problem with this, or there's a problem with that service host. Let's take a look at the Performance tab. And right now I can see the CPU utilization. There's not a heck of a lot. And this is telling me over here how much a percent of the CPU I'm using and what speed I'm running at and some other handy info. And for memory also, how much memory is in use. Now over here it's telling me that I have 8 gigs physically installed. I'm using 1.5 gigs. And this over here is saying of that 8 gigs, I have 6.5 available. And again, there's how much is in use. Disk space, how much time is being taken up by running the hard drive, and what is the rate that is being transferred by it. I don't have a Bluetooth device connected right now, so that's grayed out. I don't have an Ethernet cable connected, so that's grayed out. but I'm connected to the network by Wi-Fi, and this is telling me how much is being used. Let's go over here to App History, and this is simply telling me in the recent past what apps was I running and how much time and network and all that were they taken. I'll go to the Startup tab, and the Startup tab is very handy. These are the processes that start automatically when I turn on the computer. And what's really neat is over here where it says Startup Impact. I guess it's kind of a value judgment, but what this is telling me is, let's say the pointer that runs the mouse is not really taking a lot of system resources. It's not slowing the machine down when it starts up. But I do have Microsoft SkyDrive running, and this is telling me that it's taking a significant amount of resources. And maybe if I'm on a slow network connection, for example, and I say, gee, I'm not going to use SkyDrive right now, what I could do is I could select it and then go over here and disable. Now, it won't disconnect, it won't turn off SkyDrive. It simply means that the next time I boot the computer, SkyDrive will not run automatically. But if I want to run it manually, then I can. Now, remember in the Processes tab, we had these columns. When I go to Users, it gives me the same columns, but now it's grouped by which users are logged in. Now, I have two different logins on this computer. One of them I'm not currently logged into, the other one I am, so this is telling me the same info, but by user. Let's go over here to Details. Now, Details is kind of like the Processes, but this just gives us more information. What user is running? Is it the login called Bob or the login with this wacky name? Or is it the system itself? But here's where the Details screen is, I think, very nice, is we can add some columns here. I'm going to click the right mouse button on any one of these columns, and I'm going to choose Select Columns. So this tells me what columns are visible. I'm going to scroll down, and what I generally do is I enable IO reads, IO writes, and IO read bytes and write bytes. And this simply means these two, how many times are my hard drives being read from or written to, and these mean how many bytes are being read from or written to the hard drive. And the reason I do that, and this is more important on a regular laptop or a desktop that has a hard drive with a spinning platter rather than on a tablet that uses flash memory, is a hard drive is the slowest part of the computer. And you know how it is. You could be sitting in front of a computer and the hard drive is just cranking and flashing like a firefly in the summer, and you're wondering what the heck is going on. By turning these four items on, you have a better idea of what's happening with your hard drive. So I'll just OK it. And now I can see that. And then what I do is I'll sort. So if I click on any of these column headers, for example, I'll click on IO reads, this is telling me which services are reading from the hard drive, or I'll click this and which are writing. So my screen recorder, of course, is the heaviest user right now of writing to the hard drive. So I think that's pretty handy. Now, let's say I have a program running and it's not responding and I can't turn it off. What I could do is this. I'm in the Details tab and I'm going to sort by name. And you see when I click on the tab, I can sort in descending order or ascending order. I'm going to find the program that I need. Now, I was running Windows Paint, and the name of that task is called MS Paint. So I can select it here. I could also go in the Processes and find Paint. Either way will work. And you see over here, End Task. So when I click that, you notice it just stops running. It doesn't ask me, are you sure? It doesn't give me any warnings. It just bombs out, and you can see it's not running down here on the taskbar. So that's the sort of thing you can do, really, if you need it. Let's go to the last tab here for Services. And I can see here, just sorted by name, what I have, description. And I can also sort, I find this probably the best, to sort by status. And I can see these are the services that are running, and if I scroll down, these are the services that are stopped. And you might wonder, okay, you had processes, you had services, what's the difference? Basic difference is this. Services run regardless of who is logged in or even if anybody is logged in. And also, unlike processes, services generally don't interact with your screen. So they just kind of run in the background. You might wonder, well, okay, then who cares? Classic example is the print spooler. I'll scroll down here. And you see here's the spooler, and it tells me it's a print spooler. So maybe you're trying to get a printout and your printer isn't responding, or you can't, for whatever reason, get something printed. You might look to see, oh, hey, is my print spooler running? Or you might want to stop it and restart it. So I'm going to right-click on the print spooler, and I can stop it, and then maybe, I don't know, turn the printer off, turn it on again, and then right-click on the print spooler and restart it. That's just a suggestion. I find that helps sometimes. So some of this might sound a little bit complex or maybe esoteric, but if you understand the basics of how Task Manager works, it might save you quite a bit of time on the phone on a tech support call.